Welcome to Hey, That's Me, a commentary podcast. I'm Patrick Ottner.
I'm Brian Lynch. Hey, Patrick, what are we watching today?
We're watching a beloved childhood classic, which maybe also, apparently, according to a lot of people who texted me about it, scarred their childhood as children.
The Never-Ending Story.
Nope. Follow That Bird. Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird.
Unbelievable that we're doing a movie starring Sesame Street characters and we get to talk about it and we're grown men.
It's kind of the best life.
Yes, I'm so excited about this one. We're doing it with the director.
Ken Kwapis.
Yes, who also started The Office, like is responsible for the visual look of The Office.
Started Larry Sanders Show.
That's right. Oh my God. This guy, why are we doing Follow That Bird? We should do Follow That Bird, but also these. This guy's amazing.
A really insane career, a really varied career. Has directed movies, Sister of the Traveling Pants, He's Just Not That Into You. Walk in the Woods, which I just watched with Redford and Nolte. So many things. So he was a big Malcolm in the Middle director.
He directed the entire episodes of the reboot.
That's true.
Yeah.
Go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/commentary.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of cool things. We sync up the movies.
Petering out so bad. Hey, people should check out our Patreon.
Patreon.com/commentary.
Yeah. If you go there, you can, and you got to cough up a little money, but we'll watch shows with you and we'll talk over them. You can watch whatever we're watching. With the stuff, you sync it up so lazy people can just watch it.
Yeah, it works great, and it's very cool to watch it like that. You can also send in questions that we can ask people on the show.
And we'll give you inside poop if anybody's an asshole.
Oh, that's true.
But so far, no one's been an asshole.
Inside poop.
Is that the new podcast?
Yeah.
Sure? It sounds more like a health podcast.
Sure, but I like it.
Has anyone been the least bit rude?
I don't think so.
No, everybody's been super cool.
I don't think so.
Right, because they wouldn't come and do this if they didn't want to.
Yeah. I think we've had good luck with everyone.
Who's been the nicest?
Ooh.
I think last week's.
Yeah, last week in terms of when this came out. Actually, no, this is going to come out next week, so it's okay. Anu's so nice, but everyone's been very nice.
She's the only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, leave a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It does help the algorithm somehow.
Does it really? More people will know us if other people talk about it.
It also looks good when I'm reaching out to people if it has more reviews. I think we're at 30 reviews right now. If we can get it to 50 reviews.
Okay, I'll review it 20 times.
I'd love you forever.
Mm-hmm. I don't want that.
Follow That Bird, available. Currently, it's available on Tubi. But you can also rent it on Amazon or Apple or wherever you rent it.
If they watch it on Tubi, they have to watch the ads?
No ads.
Oh, interesting.
No ads.
Why is that?
I don't know. I watched it yesterday on Tubi and it was no ads.
Wow.
You can press play at the same time or just listen to this as a podcast. And we're going to start in
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we are. We're watching Follow That Bird. We're here with Ken Kwapis. Ken, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for doing this.
This is an honor to have you.
Yes. Because this is a movie that, I watched so many times as a kid growing up. Sesame was so important to me. And getting to see them in the real world is mind-blowing when you're a child,
Oh, yeah.
And even now, there's things, we'll bring it up when we get to it, but, there's shots where I'm like, this looks so cool.
Yes.
It looks so cool. And that's not a question, but that's just me saying that.
I feel very privileged that this was my first feature film as a director.
Amazing.
And right out of the gate, I got to work with some of the most iconic characters.
Yeah.
The
first actor on screen for your first movie is Oscar the Grouch. That's the coolest thing in the world.
How now we want to ask about this scene in particular. Was this always in the script or was this added later?
This was always in the script, but it was my idea to do a parody of Patton.
Yes.
And that sort of speaks to a bigger thing about the film. And, this was Warner Brothers, Children's Television Workshop, Henson Associates. And so you'd think there'd be a lot of producers and a lot of oversight. But in fact, I had a pretty free hand.
Yeah.
Trying out any cockamamie idea. So there was always the Grouch. It always began with the Grouch National Anthem. but the Patton parody, I believe, was my idea.
You stuck a few parodies in here.
There's definitely.
We'll get to some more later.
We'll wait till we get to the cornfield.
Yes. We should say, first of all, I should say I read your book and it's amazing. It's
Thank you.
Great. But we should give the origin story for this movie on how it happened.
Sure. Well, I started directing in 1983. The first couple things I directed were after-school specials. Actually, the first one was CBS's equivalent. of the after-school special. It was called the CBS Afternoon Playhouse. And that particular thing was seen by some executives at Warner Brothers, specifically a producer's associate named Amy Pascal. She was working for producer Tony Garnett, and my CBS Afternoon Playhouse came to her attention, and she recommended it to Lucy Fisher, vice president of Warner's, because they were looking for someone to direct the first Sesame Street feature film. And so I was, needless to say, very excited to meet. I met with Amy and Tony Garnett. Then I met with Lucy Fisher. Then I met with Joan Ganscooney, the head of Children's Television Workshop. And finally, I interviewed with Jim Henson.
Insane.
But that wasn't the last of it, though. The fifth and final interview was with Carol Spinney, who's plays Big Bird and Oscar.
And
the
Oscar,
Grouch.
yeah.
And I think that it was, but I think that when Jim, gave me his blessing, I felt pretty confident that I had the job. And I've mentioned this before, but Jim, Frank Oz, and Carol were so gracious to me. I was probably the youngest person on the crew, and here I was directing characters they created. But Jim was very hands off. I mean, Jim, Frank, and Carol obviously performed their characters. Sure. But they let me do the directing, and Jim only had one demand that he told me about when I met him for the first time. He said on day one of shooting, he wanted me to bring the entire crew together and have every crew member hold up one hand in the air for a solid minute. And the reason he wanted everyone to do that is he wanted the crew to understand how taxing it is for puppeteers to hold their hand up in the air, while you're doing umpteen number of lighting and camera adjustments. And so I did. Yeah. Day one, the entire crew raised their hand for a minute. It's actually not easy to keep your hand in the air for a long time.
And also adding 5 or 6 pounds onto your hand later when you've got...
and then you also have to be funny.
Funny, yes.
Do you think there was things on this movie that you... I don't want to say learned, but learned as a director that you had to unlearn when you were working with only actors?
No, in fact, I think just the opposite. I think I learned a lot about character development from the Muppets, and it seems odd, but the Muppets are incredibly well drawn characters, and for me, what makes a good comic character, for instance, is that you've got a point of view that you're almost fanatically committed to.
Sure.
And so you've got Cookie Monster, who will only eat one thing.
What's that?
A cheeseburger.
Oh.
No, but then all the characters are well drawn like that, and I'm particularly fond of a character like Telly Monster, whose point of view is that he has no point of view, and he's committed to being uncertain, and he's always seeing both sides of an argument, and that in itself is a incredibly strong point of view.
Sure.
So I feel like I learned a lot about. I mean, I've worked over the years on television shows and feature films, and I've often directed, particularly...
There's your guy right there.
There's Telly. Oh, I love Telly so much. I particularly direct a lot of characters that are simply, a bunch of one-liners in lieu of a character.
Yeah.
That's not the case with the Muppets. I should mention while we're here that Carol Spinney was, I think he was 51 years old when we did the film, and I mean, he was as spry as a 20-something athlete, and I was actually stupefied to see this man. Okay, he's in a bird suit. You have to imagine you're in an 8-foot bird suit with these gigantic platform shoes, and you're roller skating.
Yeah.
Backwards.
Yeah.
So it's and he was just kind of, rolling around the set. Second nature.
Yeah.
So.
I should tell the story quick. I don't think I've ever told it on the show. When I was a kid, he put out a memoir, and we lived near Yukon, which has a big school of puppetry, and obviously was big into the Muppets and stuff. And my parents were like, "We're gonna go see Carol Spinney today," and we went and we watched him give a talk, and he did a Q&A at the end. And a little 12-year-old, whatever, said, "Do you guys ever give tours of the set?" And he was like, "No, not really, but you got to know someone." And he gave a little wink.
Right.
And we went through and we met him afterwards. He signed the book and stuff. And I did not know this, but he pulled my dad aside and said, "Give me your address." And my dad gave him the address. And like 6 months later, I got a postcard in the mail saying, "Hey, Patrick, it's Carol. Here's my number. If you ever want to come to the set, let me know."
That's so fantastic.
And we went like 2 or 3 times, and eventually led to I interned there for like a year and a
you
half,
did?
and I
Wow.
got it
Fantastic.
via Carol and Marty, who was
Oh,
Kelly
my
and
gosh,
Snuffy and all
Marty,
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Carol's was a big part of my life, and like sort of got this whole thing going. You know?
Well, I should go into a little more detail about my first meeting with Carol.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an audition, but mostly Carol was just excited to share kind of Muppet lore with me, or specifically Big Bird and Oscar lore.
Sure.
And he sort of, taught me, he gave me all the, the basics about Big Bird, that he's a canary.
Yeah.
He's a they.
Uh-huh.
And probably no older than 6 years old, than 6. And Oscar, Carol made I never knew this. I mean, I wasn't a watcher of the show. I was already just about into my teens when the show premiered in 1969. So I did not know that Oscar has a dislike of garbage as opposed to trash. And and to be honest, until Carol schooled me in the difference, I didn't know the difference. But Oscar does not like, old coffee filters, but he loves a broken toaster.
That's so funny. I mean, you got to have rules,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
how you keep these things so defined. Snuffy at this point is an Invisible Friend still, I think, in the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, he was. Yeah, at the
But
end.
they changed that pretty soon after this movie.
I don't know how soon after, but he definitely is, the invisible friend here.
Yeah.
And so the front half of Snuffy is Marty Robinson, who just before we shot the film made a splash as the man-eating plant in the original production
Yeah.
of Little
Wow.
Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
And in the back half, if I'm not mistaken, is Noel McNeil, I believe, and who I never actually met during the shooting because he was always, inside the suit, and I didn't. And the only way I talked to Noel was like there's a little flap, somewhere on
That's
the
so funny.
back half of Snuffy. But Noel went on to create one of my all-time favorite Muppet characters, and that the short-lived but brilliant show, Bear in the Big Blue
Oh,
House.
sure.
A
Yeah.
beautiful full-body character.
Yes.
Fantastic character.
And just like a really warm, it's sort of Big Bird-esque,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
just like warm and caring and like the thing that the kids automatically feel like they're friends with.
For a
you
certain
know?
age group, that character still
Yeah.
resonates. In
Yeah.
a
Oh,
big,
really?
in a
That's good
big
to
way.
hear.
Yeah.
I know. That was a beautiful show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
You see a lot of characters full bodies in this for the first time. I feel like you're seeing the count's feet.
You see the Count's feet. You also see the other side of the street.
Yeah,
That's
which
right.
you never saw. And I should mention among the really wonderful collaborators on this project was production designer Carol Spear. And Carol Spear might seem like an odd choice to design Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird because she's David Cronenberg's production designer. And so,
Wow.
not long after this film was made, she did The Fly and Dead Ringers and
wow.
so but she was responsible for filling in the gaps and,
Sure.
and getting a reverse on Sesame Street for the first time.
because this is up in Canada, right? You
We shot in Toronto. One of the reasons we shot in Toronto was Jim had sort of groomed a whole group of puppeteers for the show Fraggle Rock. So Fraggle Rock was an HBO show,
Sure.
and that I think was in maybe its second season when we were shooting Follow That Bird. But so we used a lot of puppeteers from Fraggle Rock.
Sure.
Worked on Follow That Bird. In some cases they did major characters, like Jerry Nelson created the Count, but he was not able to work on the film. So a Fraggle Rock puppeteer did the honors. Jerry, of course, came in and voiced the character
Yeah.
in post
Oh, I
production.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And the woman who played Miss Finch was a Fraggle Rock puppeteer
She's
too.
Cheryl. I can't remember
Yeah.
Cheryl's last name right now.
Blaylock? Is it Cheryl Blaylock, I
And
think?
voiced by the great Sally Keller.
Yeah. What is it like to have to cast a voice afterwards? Because Sally, you decided later on to change
Sally
the
was
voice?
definitely later.
Yeah.
Also, the entire Dodo family.
Eddie Deason.
So Eddie Deason was
Lorraine.
Donnie Dodo.
Yeah.
Lorraine.
And Lorraine Newman played Mommy Dodo. Kathy Silvers played Marie Dodo. And
Yes.
Kathy Silvers was a major cast member of the show Happy Days,
Mm-hmm.
but also she just happens to be the daughter of a comic legend, Phil Silvers.
Phil Silvers' daughter?
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
yeah.
wow, wow. I didn't know that.
But playing Daddy Dodo is somebody who's incredibly important in my life. The screenwriter Brian Hofeld, he's one of my best and oldest friends,
Yeah.
and went on to write many wonderful feature films, including the film He Said, She Said, which I co-directed with my now wife, Marissa Silver.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but those were cast later. Sally Kellerman was cast later. I think those are the only, I think everyone else, though,
Yeah, I think so.
was already, all the voices were set.
Were the human Sesame Street actors nervous about jumping to the big screen? Like, they have real drama. They have real sad scenes to act. Were they at all hesitant?
No, I think that I think everyone was really just excited to kind of exercise some different muscles.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I think partly because the show, and this goes back to the origin of the show. The show is a sketch show.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure you both know, the whole concept of the show was that the Children's Television Workshop felt that that young an audience couldn't follow the long form narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's short sketches, and so I think the human cast, all the cast members, kind of were excited about the idea of kind of getting to go on an emotional journey,
Yeah.
as opposed
Yeah.
to just do a 1 minute sketch.
Sure. I'm sure it also sort of felt like summer camp for them. Because they're in a different country.
yeah.
They're all like,
Absolutely.
it's like there's a much bigger crew now, all that kind of stuff.
Well, another aspect of it is there's a cinematographer as opposed to like three, big tape, cameras.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the cinematographer for Follow That Bird is a wonderful guy named Curtis Clark, who, again, another offbeat choice, like Carol Spear, because Curtis Clark was at that time in '84 known mainly as the cinematographer of Peter Greenaway's film The Draftsman's Contract,
Oh, wow.
which was about as far from Follow That Bird as one can
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, this intellectual puzzle of a film with these very stylized, very geometric compositions, but Curtis loved the idea of sort of kind of bringing what's the right way to put it? Sort of textures and wonderful lighting to subjects like Big Bird
Sure.
that had never been lit in that way.
Yeah.
And I would say that a lot of the reason we are emotionally invested in Big Bird is because of specifically how Curtis managed to light his eyes.
Yeah.
And it's not a small challenge.
Well, you do watch some things with Muppets and you're like, oh, this person has never worked with them before. They don't know how to shoot it, or they don't know how to make it look real, because Big Bird can blink. Most of them can't blink. You can't move their eyes. It can look very, I don't want to say dead, but like it can look very dead-eyed, and you want to avoid that. So it's very impressive that he's able to pull that off.
Well, I think that the other thing too, unlike and again, I'm not going to disparage any of the Muppet movies. I love them all, but many
I'm more
of
talking
them,
about TV specials or things when they're on a talk show or something. Where
well,
it's
but
like,
even the feature films, the Muppet features are generally about making it in show business.
Yeah.
Let's put on a show.
Yeah.
Let's get to Hollywood, and and this is truly a kind of a journey of into the self in a funny way. It's really leaving home to find home.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to kind of, as a director, a lot to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
But I will say, I didn't know that initially. And you asked me, what did I learn working on this film? For me, at the outset, it was like a fun technical challenge. How do you frame a shot with an 8-foot character?
Sure.
How do you frame a shot where one character is 2 feet? And one character.
Yeah.
So I sort of, and how can I kind of cram the film with as many sort of interesting allusions to other films as possible? That was sort of the sum total of my approach at the beginning. And it wasn't until, kind of well into the shooting that the emotional content of the script really hit me. And I started to, and I've said this before, I started to think of Big Bird less as an object and more of as a subject. And I think that really changed the whole thing. And I also feel like it changed my relationship working with Carol. It was less about solving a technical problem and more about sort of how do we put something on the screen that someone's going to relate to emotionally. Now, how many 2 to 6 year olds are going to relate to this idea of being dislocated, or not knowing who your tribe is?
Sure.
I'm not sure that it means anything, but it doesn't matter, because I think you still feel it, even if you're not sort of conscious of what the content is.
Right.
So.
It also just says some really nice stuff about what family is, and it doesn't have to be blood. And I think kids get that too. I love it. I love the found family aspect of it too.
The found family. I mean, the show's mission statement was to celebrate diversity. There's strength in diversity, and that's that's why Miss Finch is such a fantastic character. She's really trying to do right by Bird, but she assumes that he would be better off with their own kind. I'll say.
Yeah.
And by the way, balanced with comedy that is really funny. Like it's the heart is there, but also there's jokes that this movie probably is responsible for kids being funnier than they were before they went in. You know what I mean? Like it helps set up the sense of humor.
So funny.
When Oscar immediately checks out on Big Bird's letter, he goes, "Dear family," and Oscar goes, and leaves. That's a smart, funny joke that like makes a kid funny.
Well, here's all credit to Tony Geis and Judy Freudberg, who wrote the script. I mean, these are two longtime Sesame Street staff writers, but like just super smart, super witty. And after Follow That Bird, they went on to collaborate, just 2 significant collaborations with the great Don Bluth. They wrote American Tail. They wrote Land Before Time. Wow. But they are really responsible for the high level of wit in the script.
Great.
Absolutely.
Was there any nervousness about it being so dark and so sad at some points? Like, were they hesitant to do that?
I wondered about that when I was shooting, and particularly when we get to the Big Bird being basically kidnapped and then forced to perform in a circus.
Newsbeak is very funny. He's reading Newsbeak. I just wanted to say that. But okay, yes. So he's getting kidnapped.
Oh yeah, and the Sleaze brothers, Sid and Sam Sleaze, they dye Big Bird blue. Yeah. He sings that heartbreaking song, and I do remember when I was shooting it, thinking, this is like child abuse.
Yeah.
But nobody said a thing about it at the time.
Amazing.
I've definitely talked to people who saw the film and felt rather traumatized by that particular scene.
Yeah. I told a few friends that we were doing this, and they were like, "Oh, that movie's very sad."
Yeah.
I was like, were there like Children's Television Workshop's reps on set making sure that no?
Tony Geis was on the set for a while.
Yeah.
He sort of, I think, was the Children's Television Workshop representative. There was no one from Henson Associates other than Jim and Frank were there, but they were there to perform their characters.
Yeah.
And there was no one from Warner Brothers. No,
they really just let you do it.
No, there
could have handed in anything.
It's really amazing.
Well, I feel like at that time, Jim and Frank were very much focused on other projects, some of them non-Muppet projects, like I think
Dark
at the
Crystal?
time Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
I think Dark Crystal had just come out,
Okay.
and I think Jim was prepping Labyrinth.
Okay.
And Frank was about to or had just done Muppets Take Manhattan.
Sure.
But he was already thinking ahead because his next big endeavor was the feature film Little Shop of Horrors.
Sure.
Right.
So so I think they were they were kind of focused on their own things. Warner Brothers had bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
And CTW had never made a film, so but they had a show to do.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much left alone, and thankfully, the wonderful producer Tony Garnett was really gave me a free hand. So.
It's cool. Have you ever gotten that again?
Almost no.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And I also, Jim and Frank and particularly Carol were so not just gracious, but just such soulful, gentle people.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how spoiled I was right out of the gate to be dealing with, or working with decent people. Over the years, I've directed more than a few incredibly difficult and pompous people, and so I often think back, wow, what a break I had getting to start my directing career, my feature directing career with Carol Spinney.
Yeah.
Did you keep the giant postcard?
I was wondering that last night. I was like, where is that postcard? Ken has
love
seen
that
all the large
postcard.
things on my wall, and man, oh man, that postcard would
Oh,
look
you
good
know
on the wall.
what? I know Big Bird just left the Dodos,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
want to mention one thing I'm really proud about with the Dodo House.
Yeah.
And that is when we first arrive at the Dodos, and we have a big wide shot of the house
Yes.
atop the pole, that is a foreground miniature.
Whoa.
So this is like, talk about old school. I mean, this is as in, like the stadium in the 1925 Ben-Hur was a
yeah.
hanging
Right,
miniature in the foreground.
Wow.
So
I had no
Carol
idea.
Spear built this huge pole, but there was nothing on top of it. So when we watch that shot, the car drives up to the house and we tilt up to see the house. The house is no bigger than a toaster hanging in the foreground of
Wow.
the shot.
That's amazing. It looks great. I was wondering, I was like, it's got to just be the pole, the set.
Well, that's what
You
it
know?
was, but
Yeah.
but there were no visual effects. This is definitely an analog era, pre-digital, pre-visual. I mean, there were visual effects obviously at the time, but not like there are now. But that one in particular, we made a choice to go super old school.
It looks great.
Okay, we just had 2 cameos back to back. We have Chevy Chase
Yeah.
and Kermit the Frog.
Two big ones.
I will say one thing about Kermit the Frog, and that when I first saw Jim Henson performing Kermit, I was struck by the fact that, unlike most of the other Muppet characters, like Bert and Ernie, who we're about to see here, like who have foam core heads, Kermit has nothing. It's all Jim's knuckles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and as opposed to many of the other characters, but yeah, and Chevy, I'll be quite honest, I never met Chevy
Okay.
because I was already in Toronto. He was here in Los Angeles, and he had to shoot his newscaster segment without me. I love the Counts TV though.
looks
Amazing.
That's a good Carol Spear touch there.
Is that a full size prop?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it
Patrick,
was,
do you want it? I see your hinting.
but I just couldn't tell if it was forced perspective or not because the way the shot
Especially
is set
after
up.
the
Like,
house. Yeah.
a lot of Count's legs in this movie, which I appreciate.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just think he looks great. A fact that blew my mind when I read yesterday on, I think it was IMDb, it said it. This is the last big screen appearance of Jim Henson's Kermit,
I think so.
which is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah,
and
I
Ernie,
believe so.
this is his one and
Yeah.
only Ernie.
Way to bring it down,
Absolutely.
Patrick.
No, I mean, not bring it down, but
No,
it's
yeah.
like it is like a celebration of
Yeah.
like we get this not in a
Oh yeah.
mainline Muppet movie,
Yeah.
you know, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
cool that
And-
it exists.
And again, he could have asked someone else to fill in to
Yeah.
perform them,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he
yeah.
did those characters.
Yeah.
He absolutely did those characters.
What do you think about when you think of Jim? What is like the image in your mind, the moment that you think of?
I would say the moment that comes to mind is coming up fairly soon, and that's when we see Bert and Ernie in that biplane.
Oh, sure.
Because the
favorite.
biplane
We'll save
was
that.
built,
Let's-
yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's save it because
Yeah.
when
Let's
we
talk
get
about
there,
when it gets there. Yeah.
because I have such a very specific memory of
Yeah.
that scene, and but we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah.
The
What was the biggest difficulty about shooting them in the real world, do you think? I'm sure there were a ton. But
I think that I actually felt that being out on location wasn't so much an issue. I mean, technically it's a complicated film just because anytime you have a puppet character or somebody in a full size costume, everything takes a little longer.
Yeah.
We had 44 days to shoot. Okay, that by indie movie standards today, that's actually pretty luxurious.
yeah. But for this,
But 44 days when you like this scene right here, there's like half a dozen Muppet
many
characters.
Muppets.
yeah.
And part of the okay, how do we hide all those puppeteers?
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, every one of those puppeteers has a monitor.
Sure.
So there's so just imagine the prep of like getting all of that set before. So there's like 3 puppeteers and 3 monitors beneath the screen.
Yeah.
So every shot is complicated.
Yeah, of
So-
course. This is a very nerdy question that I just thought about while we were doing this. Carol's wearing the monitor on his chest.
Right. So Carol, unlike the other puppeteers, Carol has I think like a one.
It's very small.
It's like a 2 or 3 inch at the most
Yeah.
monitor strapped to his chest. So he's got his right hand in the air to operate the beak. His left hand actually is attached to a string that operates Bird's dummy right hand so that he can have 2 active hands. And then meanwhile, he's looking straight down at this small monitor. Now, to add one more degree of difficulty to this, it's a mirror image that he's seeing. That's all the puppeteers are seeing.
Wow.
But for Carol in particular, who has to do who has to be very mobile and dexterous, he's constantly playing into a mirror. Okay, the Countmobile is one of the greatest things in the film.
Really is.
And I will say that once we see the Countmobile on the road,
Yes.
that is a puppeteer who's also free driving a car.
Wow.
There's not a second person in there.
Oh, that was the shot that I wanted to talk about, where I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, this is like legit. They are in the real world right now.
So Frank Oz is in the back of the VW.
Yeah.
And more than once, Frank Oz had to operate Cookie from the floorboards of the back seat of the VW.
Oh, but wait, the question I wanted to ask about the monitor, though, is I assume on TV, they're shooting on cameras, on
Right.
video cameras. You're shooting on film.
Same thing though. It's still a video
still
feed.
is able to get to that in
absolutely.
time? Oh, okay.
And again, it's. I'm sure many people know this or have commented on it, but it's sort of. I feel the eureka moment in Jim Henson's career was understanding that if the puppeteer could see what the camera sees, then a puppet could be absolutely spontaneous.
Yeah.
It's like so simple, but it's like the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, this particular scene with all the cars and all the characters in the street was just, time consuming. It's not that there are such fancy shots or anything, but every shot's complicated.
Yeah.
Did you see the counts, the license plate?
What was it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's very long.
It's funny. It's
That's
a
great.
funny bit.
Yeah, it's good.
This is one of my favorite sequences, just seeing Big Bird's feet.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed sort of the idea of Big Bird on the road. I mean, I love road movies. I love, journeys on foot. The last feature film I directed was called A Walk in the Woods. So so I like the idea of just like this particular composition, just framing Big Bird in this rural, setting, but walking on a road. So we're going to meet Waylon Jennings. I have to say, I did not know Waylon's work that much when we got to work together. I did know one important thing, though, in that he was Buddy Holly's bass player. Did you know this?
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Waylon famously, gave up his seat on the flight that crashed with Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper Report. So Waylon's been some
Waylon's dealing with stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will also say that in order to do this next scene, we had to, what's the right way to put it? We had to create the front of the truck. We had to make it big enough so that Big Bird could fit in it.
Sure.
Right.
And people said, well, isn't the audience going to find it odd that it's like bizarrely this tall cab? And I said, it doesn't matter.
Not my problem.
But so when we get in, so this ridiculous looking cab with to accommodate Big Bird,
I'm gonna be honest.
hilarious.
I didn't even notice.
It didn't
that
occur
it
to me
looked
until
weird.
you said it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it looks
no,
great.
Yeah, I never would have even thought about it.
Now, I will say that one of the great things that happened after the film is that Carol and his wife Debbie became best friends with Waylon.
Oh, great.
So that they really remained close over the course of over the rest of Waylon's life.
Wow.
So
Waylon enjoyed his time here. That's great.
he definitely
Yeah.
he loved it. He loved it.
This song rules.
Yeah.
This song is great.
This was a great song written by I don't remember the writer's name, but he was someone who was on the Warner Brothers Nashville-based music writing staff.
Oh, wow.
So like the famous Music Row in Nashville has different sort of places where different groups of writers work, and this was the Warner's staff.
Yeah.
So I will say I was very excited. I don't remember how this was laid out in the script, but I was very excited to turn this into a big production number featuring everyone who was en route.
I love that it crosses over. Yeah.
And there's an important shot towards the end. Well, I'll wait till we get there. But so Frank's in the back seat on the floor, and again I marvel at the fact that he could somehow contort himself.
Did you take out the seats in the back, or is there anything that you guys removed for him?
I don't remember.
Or?
We may have done something, but it's still
It's still amazing.
He is like
yeah.
And but But I love the idea though that we're able to. Oh, and this is also
shot's great.
like
This shot's so cool, and it feels like it was probably like a fairly quote unquote easy shot, but it looks so cool.
Well, what it is Frank and I are
This
just.
is the
Oh
shot.
yeah, so
This shot
is,
rules so
yes.
much.
So this is someone. There's not two people in that car
It's insane.
He's Muppeteer. He's performing and driving.
and driving.
That's amazing.
But now, one of the important shots coming up though, and again, this was very pre-visual effects.
Yeah.
Is when Bert and Ernie's biplane.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to introduce Bert and Ernie after this shot. Mm-hmm. So where you see Bert and Ernie in the biplane. By the way, those are two people wearing Bert and Ernie heads in a real plane. But what's going to happen now is we're going to tilt down from the plane back to Bert and Waylon,
Mm-hmm.
and that is in camera. That's not a
wow.
visual effect or two
Wow.
shots melded together. I was standing in the back of the insert car. The plane came over, and we cued the music as we were tilting down so that Carol Spinney would come right in on the chorus.
Do you remember how many times you had to do that?
I don't, but it just seemed like the right way to make this
No, it's
film
so
was
cool.
to do these
Yeah.
in-camera effects.
Yeah, and it's the little details like that make this film memorable and not just a bland children's movie. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, that's amazing.
Now, coming up after this is an homage to the town I grew up in. So I grew up in a small town. I was born in East St. Louis, Illinois, but I grew up in neighboring Belleville, Illinois.
Okay.
And we know from the script that the Dodos live in Ocean View, Illinois.
Yes.
So we don't know how far Bird has gone, but from the looks of it, he's still in Illinois because Dave Thomas is reading the Belleville
Oh, yeah.
News Democrat.
Yeah.
That was my hometown paper.
That's fun.
So I was like an SCTV super fan.
Yeah.
And the idea that Dave and Joe Flaherty were eager to sign on.
And John Candy.
And John Candy,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
to play Sid and Sam Sleaze, is I couldn't have been more delighted. And I'm particularly happy with this scene because I fought really hard to get a crane to do a few. The scene starts with a crane
Yeah.
shot, but we also had a crane for a shot coming up here that is quite extravagant for a film of limited means.
Yeah.
It's not that one. It's that one.
Oh wow.
So we are above the Ferris wheel.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Just for that, just literally.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
looks cool. And that's
again,
like yeah.
it seemed there it is again. So it seemed better to do that than to have just a simple high angle, as if from the boy's point
Yeah,
of view.
yeah,
It
yeah.
seemed like if we can get above the boy in the Ferris wheel cart, all the better. I can't believe that they wrote this in the script, stealing an apple from this
so
boy.
funny.
The
It's so funny.
But
Did you-
I also, Dave Thomas had just come off of his directing debut with Rick Moranis.
Strange
they
Brew.
co-directed
Oh, sure.
Strange
Love it.
Brew,
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
which now a beloved
Yeah.
Canadian comedy.
Yeah.
And I mean, how can you not love a film with Max von Sydow
Yeah.
as an evil brewmeister?
Brewmeister. Yep.
But I got to work with Joe Flaherty once more after this. I directed a couple episodes of Freaks and Geeks.
Sure.
So this is a shot, again, I love the idea of road movies. I love the idea of thinking of, Bird like, Chaplin at the end of Modern Times, or thinking of, like more serious-minded road movies like Paris, Texas. And this particular shot I'm very proud of because it's a very simple arcing move, but because Bird is sort of doing a countering by twirling around, it creates this kind of wonderful. It feels like a bigger move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bigger
Yeah,
camera
yeah.
move.
This feels like what is it, Castaway? And
Yes,
there's
at
shot,
the
there's
end
the
of
shot at the end of Castaway.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
that's
oh,
true.
Totally, yeah.
Ripped off Follow That Bird.
Yeah. How much say did you have in casting? Speaking of cast,
Well, Big Bird was a
of course he was in,
obvious choice.
but
No, I had a fair amount of. I mean, again, I felt like I had a free hand. Most importantly, when we get to the Grouch Cafe coming up, I mean, it was my idea to reach out to Sandra Bernhardt
Yeah.
and Paul Bartel. I mean, again, Paul Bartel is hardly a household name, but in terms of anyone who's a film fan, the idea that he would be the chef at the Grouch Cafe
yeah.
is perfect. And I will say that, we'll get there shortly, but each of them had just done extraordinary things. Sandra had just, not too long before had been in The King of Comedy with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis. And Paul had just directed maybe his most popular film, Eating Raoul, before this.
Yeah.
So
the girl on the left is a girl named Alison Court who
Yes.
played Jubilee in the X-Men animated series.
Oh, cool.
And she was on a kids show called The Big Comfy Couch.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
She played a clown, and it was one of the shows that was like airing when I was
Right.
younger. So it was very fun to realize, it's the same person, which I guess is just learning that actors exist. It's kind of what that was.
Now, the song that's coming up, I believe in the original script, it was just a song for Big Bird.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it felt to me like it was important to kind of create a more of a production number out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I suggested that we turn it into a trio with Olivia and Snuffy.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this is the heart of the movie right here.
Yeah. Well, it's nice seeing him interact with kids because that's what you're used to seeing on that show,
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just so sad when you go back to Sesame Street and the town isn't functioning. The street isn't functioning without Big Bird. And you see the kids being sad. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Well, there's also just the idea of, we think of Big Bird as a city bird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the show obviously was designed to basically represent people who lived in a city.
Yeah.
And so the idea that we take Big Bird into rural America, I think is really wonderful.
How much storyboarding did you do beforehand?
I did a fair amount. I mean, I didn't do it everything, but certainly this scene I storyboarded because I wanted to sort of plan. That's a perfect example, by the way, of just lighting in a way that's simple, but you wouldn't see that on the show.
Yeah, no.
So suddenly you're looking at something. You're looking at a familiar character in a new way.
Yeah.
And you were asking me about something else.
Storyboarding.
Oh my gosh, I definitely storyboarded some things, but generally I sort of had enough time to kind of find things as we went. I mean, I would say that pre-visualizing scenes is something that comes more easily to me than some other directors.
Sure.
It's just something that I would say there are other skills I had to learn on my feet, like how to talk to actors. But pre-visualizing, I think, is something that comes kind of natural. I love Barkley the dog, by the way.
Yeah,
just a
great.
wonder. I'm so happy Barkley's back there in the.
I mean, it's nice that like so many of them get their moments.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Barkley has that moment right there. He shows up again in the beginning. You just got to use everybody, which is not. It makes the street feel very populated in a way that the show doesn't always, because budget reasons, size reasons, all that stuff. But like, it really feels like a real place here.
Now, the triptych that's coming up soon. Again, speaking of old school ideas. Again, this is the pre-digital era. And what I did is, for each portion of the triptych, I framed everyone in their portion of the frame, as opposed to what you do now is you just shoot a close-up and then you'd reposition them digitally.
Sure.
So this final section, when we see Olivia and Snuffy and Bird, I sort of, kind of pre-planned where they would be and where in the frame, and shot them in those sections. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but when the kids were on set with Carol as Big Bird, how did Carol act with the kids? Did he break character, or did the kids like, that's
Oh,
Big
you
Bird?
know what? Well, that's a good question, because like the boy and girl who live at the farm, I mean, they knew they were actors in the scene. I mean, as I recall, the original intention of Sesame Street was to not have young kid actors ever, but just to have real, quote, real people who were not performing. They were just, so I think that, but I think in this case, these two young actors, clearly they're doing scenes, they're doing songs.
Right.
So it was a different situation.
They have the script.
They have the script.
Also, they're really good though. Like all three of us, I think, have met Muppets with the performers. You kind of forget the performer very quickly.
Yeah.
They're right there. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
It's a very American Graffiti shot.
It's beautiful
right here. It feels like
oh
Mel's
my
driving.
gosh, absolutely American Graffiti. Oh, I forgot about that person throwing trash, garbage into the drawer. Originally, I think the script called for a piano player at the Grouch Cafe.
Friendlies. Now it's my turn.
And we asked Randy Newman
Oh, wow.
if he would consider a cameo
Yeah.
as the pianist in the Grouch Cafe, but he said no.
Oh, come on, Randy.
I would have done it.
Yeah. They should ask.
I do like Oscar's driving hat, by the way.
Yes.
But I love this introduction of Sandra because you like this sort of cloud coming out of that toaster, and then and her back is to us, and suddenly she turns.
There she is.
Right.
And Paul there with his, oh my.
I mean, they're just the perfect people for this scene. Like, you know exactly who they are, you know? Yeah, but this shot looks complicated too because there's so many Grouches in here.
I know. And again,
and pillows hiding stuff, and you know, you just gotta
foreground, background action with Oscar, with Grouches in the deep background. By the way, one of the things I learned from Carol when I first met him is that, Grouch is not simply a descriptor of Oscar's temperament, but it's a species designation. So Grouch is the species. And this is a simple thing, but just to be able to, do a shot like this where we just do a 180-degree arcing move was, again, one more thing that just sort of separates it from the television show.
Yeah.
So, again, simple things like that.
I cast an animated show a few years ago. We're waiting on it to get released, but Sonia, who plays Maria, is in every episode.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
And,
she's wonderful.
She's so great. She's
great.
so great. She was, when I lived in New York, she would be someone who's like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want.
Oh, that's
You want live shows? I'll come do live shows, whatever you need. And it was great. Everyone who works on the show is very nice, which is a good thing.
Imagine if they weren't. That'd be so disappointing.
It would be.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to go back and look at the schedule to see just how much we did on this day other than this scene, if anything, because this salad extravaganza here it took quite a while to pull off.
Do you keep a lot of that stuff? Do you have the schedules, and do you have all?
I do, and if I may put in a plug on their behalf, I've donated my papers to the Wisconsin Center for Film and Theater Research.
Oh, cool.
And all of the Follow That Bird materials are there.
Oh, wow.
Storyboards, scripts, production design sketches, schedules, etc. Call sheets.
Patrick, we're going to Ocean's 11 that place and steal all of it. I want all that.
and it again, if I may put in a plug, it's a remarkable archive, awesome. I would say.
That's very cool.
As good as any. As good as and again, one last plug.
Yeah.
Among the many people whose papers are there would be Orson Welles.
Oh my gosh.
Orson Welles' papers are in Wisconsin.
Why did you choose that, and why did he choose that?
Well, I think he's a Wisconsin native.
Yeah.
And I spoke at the university there at a film class, and I was given a tour of the archive, and I was so knocked out. But during the tour, one of the archivists said, Ken, if you'd ever consider donating your papers, we'd love for you to, we'd love to take them.
Yeah.
And I took about 5 seconds. I said, you're in.
Wow.
So that's it.
That's great. I mean, it's cool because now, it's not just sitting in a closet somewhere. It's not just, it's like people can go look at these and people can,
But I am a bit of a pack rat and have over the years kept all the paperwork.
Sure.
Now, you said you like Telly. Is Telly your favorite Sesame Street character? And if not, who is your favorite?
Boy, that's I don't think I have a favorite. I'm just sort of fascinated by Telly. Just the idea that they came up with a character who can't make up his mind. And I think I relate to, feeling ambivalent about things or maybe occasionally being wishy-washy or just not being able to commit to a point of view. So I just sort of find that character quite fascinating.
It's funny, when I watched it as a kid, Telly didn't click with me. When I watched it with my son, telly clicks because
Yeah.
he's more adult. I was like, yeah, he's
Oh,
got.
yeah,
yeah.
I get him now. Same thing with Bert and Ernie. I loved Ernie as a kid. Now I get Bert.
Yeah.
Right. I do remember asking Frank Oz once about Bert and asking how old Bert is, or how old are Bert and Ernie? And Frank said, well, some days they're 6, some days they're 45. No, I'm really happy we got to do this number 2. This song puts me in a terrific mood.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Noel, I believe that Noel, among other things, I think he's a cabaret performer.
Yes, he sings a lot at
I believe
54 Below in New York. Yeah.
54 Below, and I actually think he sings "Easygoing Day" as part of
that's
his.
amazing.
Easygoing Day is part of his repertoire.
That's great. This house is still here. This farmhouse. I looked it up on Google Maps last night,
Wow.
and it still looks the same. It's still just like hanging out in the middle of.
Is it for sale?
Yeah.
And can we turn
Yeah,
it
are we
into
a museum?
Yeah.
Well, where we shot was not in the city of Toronto, but in a town I called Kleinburg.
Mm-hmm.
And Kleinburg has a soundstage kind of plopped in the middle of it. And I believe the reason it exists is because Norman Jewison lobbied to have it built there. So maybe it's called Kleinburg Studios. I can't.
Wow.
But it's a small facility
Yeah.
with basically one big stage, as I recall, and that's where we built the street.
Huh.
And for instance, on the top of that sound stage, we suspended Bert and Ernie's biplane. And oh wait, we haven't talked about. You asked a question about my impressions of Jim and the image that comes to mind.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Wait,
Did we get to that scene yet?
no, we haven't.
Okay. Then we're good.
We're good. Okay, good.
Thank God. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry for those listening.
But
You'd be
but
disappointed.
but I will say though that it's a we did the aerial shots of Bert and Ernie by hanging the plane above the soundstage itself.
Wow. And they were in the plane.
And they're in the plane. But hold that thought.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're so big. Like Miss Finch is so big. Just
Yeah.
all the costumes and puppets are just like seeing them in real life things is fascinating. And
This is a wonderful, kind of very simple but a very elegant sight gag. Again, all credit to Tony and Judy for coming up with this. I mean, this is a beautiful. This is something that I think Buster Keaton would have
Yeah.
been happy to do.
yeah,
And again, one of the great virtues of the Muppets in general, but Sesame Street in particular, is this the kind of understanding that sometimes the simplest visual gag is the best.
I do like that she's wearing shoes.
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed that when I was watching it yesterday.
Now I think let's see if we definitely there's this shot where we're gunning behind the net. Right at Big Bird. My hunch is that Carol maybe there was a stunt person doubling Big Bird for this particular moment, because we definitely it's definitely a close call here. Oh wait, actually, is it coming soon?
These guys came to play. They seemed like they had a good time too.
Yeah.
Oh, they were very happy to do this.
I had a meeting once in Dave Thomas's Santa Monica office back when he had one. And when you walk into the office, there's a Strange Brew poster and a Follow That Bird poster.
Wow.
And the frames continue the images.
Oh, that's
like he
really-
had 3D
wow.
artists come in and continue.
Oh,
them.
that's really
They're
cool.
Beautiful. Oh, he loves this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if. Oh, here we go. We're about to.
Oh, yeah,
we're
this
about
is
to get
amazing.
into.
Well, the key
This
is
is great too.
again
Obi-Wan Kenobi
super
moment.
super old school, just a superimposition.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, nothing digital. Although one of the things that I do recall though is that the scene coming up did not have any reference to Alfred Hitchcock at all. But it seems so clear that
Yes.
you have Big Bird in a cornfield
Yeah.
and a biplane,
biplane.
swooping down
Yeah.
to get his attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you're
gotta
going to
do
have
the
to
obvious, yeah.
recreate the crop duster scene from North by Northwest. So I think I got a VHS copy of the film, and just sort of storyboarded all the key frames exactly. And then, so here's the plane. So again, all of this is practical.
Amazing.
So Snuffy's saying goodbye, and then Bird takes a little lean to his right as the plane appears.
Yeah.
So so again, we've got our two pilots there with their Bert and Ernie heads, which I think is odd all by itself. and so now the image that, well, I'll get to it in a second, but the important thing is, I think from this next shot on, not this one, but I think after this, the next few shots are, straight out of North by Northwest. There's this, there's that,
Yeah.
There's that.
there's the reverse, or the close-up rather, and then the key shot.
The foot going up so high is so fun.
And that's exactly what Cary Grant does as well. He sort of lands on his belly like that. Now, what happens then? We leave Big Bird, and so here's the setup. We have this. Carol Spear designs this biplane, puppet-sized biplane. Okay, and we're just hanging it upside down on the roof of the soundstage. Okay, so Jim and Frank have to get in it and puppeteer. And the most memorable thing was standing next to Jim and Frank as they had a long discussion about how they would kind of fold their various limbs in order to be next to each other and have enough elbow room to puppeteer. And it was a long discussion.
Yeah.
It was like, well, if you can hook your foot over my thigh, so it was just very complicated. And then they did it. And then they were, inside the fuselage.
There's so much change.
About the bottle cap.
Oh, bottle cap. That's right. Sorry. So much.
But yeah, so this is just us rocking this upside down plane back and forth. And but again, I sort of marvel at the fact that we sent these aerobatic, this aerobatic pilot duo up there.
Put this mask on. Yeah. So this is. You said it was on top of the soundstage. Is it outside or is it inside on a soundstage?
No, outside.
Outside.
Okay. So that we're always just looking at sky.
Okay, great. That's what I assumed.
And again, we're on the roof so that we have no trees or buildings in our way.
I was going to say your fake sky in a soundstage looks amazing.
Right. Oh no, this is again old school, very practical, very simple.
Yeah. Was there ever any discussion of Jim and Frank actually flying this plane?
I like that Ernie knows how to fly a plane, though. And Bert.
Yeah.
Bert also knows how to fly a plane.
Where did they get it? Where did the plane come from? It's amazing.
Oh, there are the masks.
So are you on the ground while this is happening, or are you in the camera plane?
No, I was not in the camera plane.
Okay.
But again, I just want to go to this. So this shot of Super Grover is Frank is seated on a moving crane. So this... So we are, and I'm sitting next to him. So I'm on one side of the camera, Frank's on the other puppeteering. And we're just, and so among other things, and there's, of course, Frank working from the back seat as well. So this is Frank all over this scene. And, but it was probably, in hindsight, maybe not the safest thing to do, to be rolling down the street with Frank Oz,
national treasure.
Perched on the, on the lip of this crane.
Right. Did he have a problem doing it, or he's like, okay,
no, he had no
just
problem.
Another day?
Yeah.
No, yeah. But like that is.
That's great.
And another Frank Oz character enters the car to make it harder.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the puppeteers complaining about a position they had to be put in?
No, I have a hunch that this was sort of a bad, kind of doing something incredibly difficult. That was kind of a badge of honor.
Sure.
I was inside a fuselage of a miniature plane. Oh yeah. Well, I was puppeteering from the back seat of a VW van or a Bug. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the shot I was thinking of. So my guess is that's a stunt.
This one right
stunt
here. Yeah.
bird, because we came pretty close on this next shot, on this next setup. I mean, it's right.
Yeah.
So, and
the timing.
My hunch is, I guess the question is, was I calling out to the stunt person, or was the stunt person monitoring the shot from looking at this tiny monitor? That I can't say.
So funny. Have you worked with any other SCTV people?
That's a good question.
You've worked with so many that I'm like trying to rack my
No,
brain.
I don't think I have. I sure would love to have. I've met a few, and having worked on The Office, I had the pleasure of meeting Harold Ramis, who directed a few episodes of The Office. But I didn't get to direct. I mean, I loved them so much. I didn't get to direct any of the other members of the team.
I should say someone is vacuuming above us right now.
Yes.
I can't hear it, but if you can hear it, I apologize. Yeah, this car is so great.
Yeah, the Oscars jalopy is wonderful. Oh my God, Telly sighing, a lot of sighing from Telly.
How much say did you have in production design, or did you just leave it up to her to get it done?
Well, I'm sure that Carol and I, figured things out together. I think that we were just excited at the thought of something that is known to the audience in a kind of in a bare bones fashion, just kind of fleshing it in. And I feel like I'm sure there were discussions between Carol, myself, and Tony Geis.
Yeah.
Because Tony was sort of there representing, I don't want to say quality control, but he was sort of there representing this, Sesame Street.
Yeah.
So he probably had some say or some input about what should be across the street.
Yeah.
And
were there any tense days on set? I'm not digging for drama,
days?
but I'm just curious.
No, I mean, I feel like it was always difficult for me, but I don't feel. I mean, I feel like these Sesame Street cast members were so pleased to be part of this.
Yeah.
That there was nothing but a good esprit de corps on the set.
Yeah.
But I would say every scene, including this one, was so complicated. Now, by the way, going back to Tony and Judy for a second, I've never asked them about what they were thinking when they decided that this is a mushroom festival.
Right.
By the way, somewhere online, somebody has cut this scene against a Beastie Boys song.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's fun.
It actually works. Maybe it's sabotage. I can't remember what song it is. But somebody sort of took this scene and sort of recut it to the Beastie Boys.
That's
and
amazing.
It actually works very cool. But anyway, so this was such a complicated thing, and it's also one of the things. If we were doing, sort of an action scene with only humans, things might have been more up-tempo, fast-paced. But because of, look at how Miss Finch, that's about as fast as she's going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and Bird. So I think that, there's always a little sense that everything is sort of moving at, the pace that the full-body characters can go.
Sure.
But again, another example of, wow, we have a crane shot here. And again, it was quite an argument for me to convince Warner Brothers to let me have a crane for as many days as possible. In fact, I will reminisce for a second. I remember meeting the head of physical production at Warner Brothers when we were prepping the film, and saying that we were woefully inadequate in various areas, including we need a crane for several days. And the head of physical production, who shall remain nameless, said to me, "Ken, we could shoot a 90-minute shot of Big Bird going around and around in a Ferris wheel, and our audience would not know the difference." And I remember thinking, oh my gosh! So I'm new to big studio filmmaking.
Yeah.
We're Hollywood people, really this cynical? And I guess the answer
They
is
still are. Yeah. Wow.
What do you think was that sold them on it eventually?
Oh, I think you know what? I probably said something persuasive. I hope I did, but I felt like I don't know. I felt like I just argued on behalf of certain scenes and why they would have some impact on those scenes.
Although a Big Bird movie, one shot on a Ferris wheel is kind of interesting. It's like an art
I'm
house
sure you
movie.
can make it
Exactly.
work.
That would be the yes, exactly. I would see it. They So yeah, no, Dave and Joe had a great time. I'm sure that both of them did some improvisation.
I was just gonna ask about that. Yeah.
In retrospect, I wish I could have, kind of given them a looser leash, let them go to town. But there were so many other things to accomplish in any given scene, and obviously those two have had such a great working relationship, so they fell into these characters immediately.
Right.
And
Does it vary production by production how much you like people improvising?
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, but I would say a lot of things I've worked on that you assume might be improvised were not. I mean, a lot of people assume that the show The Office was highly improvised, but in fact, it was not at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, obviously, someone like Steve Carell, who's like one of the great improvisational actors, would definitely improvise. But generally, it was a script. It's a scripted show.
Yeah.
Just scripted to sound off the cuff.
Sure.
The Muppet people are also great improvisers. Like, right? They're
Yeah.
also
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I did notice about working with the Muppets is that a lot of human actors assume that because you're acting opposite a puppet, you need to be, quote, bigger.
Sure.
You need to
Right.
be, your reactions need to be
Sure.
broader. But the beauty of the Muppets is they are deadpan. They are always going to underplay you. They're, it's like working with Buster Keaton. It's like he's always going to be more deadpan than you could ever be.
Sure.
So I think it's a mistake that some actors, and I had to guide a few people, is that don't try and be bigger than the Muppets, because they will seem supernatural compared to you.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely tell when you watch various Muppet things where you're like,
Who gets it?
who gets it,
Yeah.
who maybe should have had a little more of a talk with the director or
Right.
something like that, because you're like, oh yeah, even though Grodin is going so big in Great Muppet
He's
Caper,
in line with what they want.
It
But
fits
he
with
is.
them.
Yeah, no, he's
Yeah.
he's a Muppet.
he's a Muppet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
Tim
Muppet.
Curry, same thing.
I think
like,
Jeffrey Tambor does a really good job.
Yeah,
Oh
too.
yeah, Jeffrey would be
Yeah.
great. Jeffrey would be great.
Oh,
So
it's
yeah,
so
this
sad.
is the possibly the saddest scene I've ever directed in my life. And again I love the fact, I think I can't remember if it's in the script, but that Joe's character starts weeping while he's manning the spotlight. I think somebody recently asked me, speaking of Joe Flaherty, why there was no Count Floyd cameo to
Oh, sure.
to go
Yeah.
along with the Count.
Yeah.
So sort of a moment where the Count meets Count Floyd.
That could have been a great mid-credit sequence too.
Yeah.
That would have been really fun.
But also the fact that the Bird is dressed up in this sort of commedia dell'arte,
The pants are amazing.
pants.
I mean, that must be probably one of the more expensive things in this movie, is that they had to make
A new Big Bird.
a new Big Bird.
new Big Bird,
Because that
yeah.
is a blue bird. Like, it's not just
Yeah.
the lighting. It's
You're kind of destroying the illusion for me.
so sorry.
I assumed they painted Big Bird blue. And then he reverts to yellow at the end. He's fine.
Yeah.
They wash him off.
They wash him off.
They
He's
wash
fine.
him off. I have no idea.
Mid
there's no
travel
logic
home.
to how or when that happened, but
No.
Yeah.
so I think it kind of mitigates the heinousness of what Sid and Sam did. That,
Yeah.
that Joe's character is like weeping.
Yeah, and it
So
shows
you
the
have to-
layers. One brother is definitely more into it than the other.
By the way, this shot. Don't ask me. I don't know what I was thinking with this. I have no clue.
That's so funny.
Oftentimes when you're using young actors, if you have
Oh.
twins, you can when one's time is up, you can use the other one. So I guess that's why this came up. And I thought, oh no, let's have a bizarre shot of 4 sets of twins in one shot.
For the parade, there was a lot of families and stuff. Were those extras, or were those just
Those
you,
are extras.
you put up a
yes.
sign in the
Yeah,
town? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's a big. There's a lot of people.
Yeah,
on
there's
that
a lot
team.
of people. No, that would be the extras casting person's responsibility to put a scene like that together, and this one too.
Yeah.
And But I think, as I recall, the reason, the suggestion to have twins was in case we ran out of time with
Sure.
either one or the other. And then I thought, oh, let's do this odd thing, putting them all together.
It's great. Yeah.
I like that you cast kids and they're like, come be in a Sesame Street movie, and they thought it was gonna be so fun. And then they're in the saddest scene in Sesame Street history.
Oh no, I've definitely over the years, people have sent me like the things that have been posted online.
Yeah.
Like if I was traumatized by this scene.
You've worked with animals and kids.
I have worked, yes, and speaking of Deadpan and
Yeah.
Buster Keaton, I would say that Sammy the orangutan, the star of Dunstan Checks In,
Yeah.
like the great Muppet characters, was incredibly expressive doing little.
Sure.
Right.
And just had such an expressive face.
Which was easier?
Well, oh my God, here's that tear. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. The
Also, I do want to ask how you did that tear.
well, there is actually a little track on the cheek.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
It's pretty visible.
Yeah.
But
I guess I can-
so
yeah,
it
you
was
can
just
see.
sort of pulled. I don't know where it was pulled from, but probably a monofilament off
Sure.
camera.
I would just had Big Bird think of something sad, and then he cries.
He's like,
But all right.
He can't do it. He's a good actor, Brian, but he's not. Kids are animals. Which is
He's
easier
like, well,
for you?
I will say that Sammy the orangutan was startlingly gifted, and that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
But
You'll come back for Dunstan
oh
Checks
my
In.
gosh.
Oh,
We'll
that'd
do
be
a
great.
Dunstan Checks In
Yeah.
one. That's so funny.
so among many things, having to kind of create a Volkswagen that is edible,
Yeah.
and all the vehicles in
Five
one
Jive.
shot.
Were there toys? Were there car toys?
There
tie-in?
must have been.
I don't remember.
There must have been.
There was some merchandise, but it was mostly like books, little
Okay.
like
Yeah.
picture books, and there was actually, I still have it somewhere, like a jigsaw puzzle with only about 10 pieces.
Sure.
But it was the shot that you love so much of Big Bird and that giant postcard.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
They,
There are it's like paper doll
Oh, that's fun.
yeah.
versions of the cars. The internet's great. You could just Google. You're like, yeah, I guess there
But
was.
also bad.
Yeah, I know.
So there are these banana peels thrown over the side of that. I guess that's a trash bin. Yeah, I do. I have to give credit to Carol and her team. A lot of fun little details, throughout. Look at all the trash on the ground.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's sort of that helps tell the story that it's Sid and Sam's. What did the Sleaze Brothers unfair?
Unfair. It's great.
When you have a fun story talking about testing, audience testing
Yes.
in your book.
Well, as I mentioned, this was kind of I don't want to say a low priority for Warner Brothers, but they had some big pictures coming out. We never actually had a preview of this film. And I actually said to some of the executives, don't you think we should show this film
Yeah.
to some kids?
Yeah.
And one of the executives said, well, okay, go ahead, but just don't expect the studio to pay for it. So we did. We invited kids to a screening room in Toronto, and I arrived on the day of the screening. I came in the back of the screening room, and it was empty. The room was empty, and I turned to, I think it was the projectionist standing there. I said, oh, my God, where is everyone? And the projectionist said, no, the house is full. And I started to walk down the aisle and saw that it was packed. There were
Yeah.
kids in every seat. There was a kid in each seat, but the chair backs were so high I couldn't see them. And worse, the chair backs were so high that the kids couldn't see the screen.
Sure.
So the only remedy I could think of was to instruct or invite the kids to all stand up and watch the film. And of course, this is a screening room, so the seats are bouncy.
Yeah.
And so the kids spent the better part of this film's running time bouncing on their seats, sometimes falling off, climbing back up, looking at each other. It was on one hand, it was like the most depressing screening. I thought, well, what was the point of this? It was just it was like a trampoline park.
Did you get literally anything out of
From
it?
that?
No, not at all.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I had no sense of whether anyone was involved in the film at all.
Wow.
And And in fact, it had, over the years, I have learned how much people have related to it and how they've taken it to heart. But at that time, it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And but yeah, no, it was. I thought the room was empty, and it was a packed house.
That's so funny. When it came out, what was the general reception in your world? Like, what did people tell you about the movie? Because it didn't do as well as they wanted it to.
No. It barely made a dent
Yeah.
at the box office and disappeared quite quickly.
Yeah.
And but this is this is kind of the early days of home video.
Mm-hmm.
So fairly soon afterwards, it started its wonderful afterlife in home video. And I would say that, I anecdotally that, I would talk to many parents who'd say, okay, I've seen this film about 20 times. and I my stock response was, I don't think the film was designed to hold up to quite that much scrutiny. But at the time, I think in theaters at the time, Rambo had just come out.
What a double feature. That could have been.
And this film, there was a time in the late 80s and early 90s where the studios all started their own family divisions. I think including Warner's. This film kind of was ahead of the curve in that sense. There obviously, the Disney company makes films for families, but the other studios didn't make this kind of film at that time.
Yeah.
But things changed shortly thereafter. I would point to the something like the Little Mermaids release being the beginning of all the studios saying, oh, we have to aim films at families.
Yeah.
And suddenly you had Fox Family Entertainment, which made, among other things, Dunstan Checks In.
Sure.
So, but this was, again, not as popular in theaters as anyone would have liked, but I'm happy to say we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Would you return to Sesame Street?
I would, but I don't feel it's connected to it right now, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't kept up with it, so I don't know what it is anymore. I mean, I'm sure it still maintains its core values.
Sure.
But again, one of the things that in hindsight I feel so happy about is like I got to basically tell a story that celebrates diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And so the answer to the question is, if it were that kind of story,
Of course,
yes,
yeah.
but that's what makes this important to me.
Sure.
Is that's a pretty good shot, that high angle on that key lock. Again, all credit to Curtis Clark for figuring out that was not an easy place to put a camera, actually.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why Dave and Joe have to do that little do-si-do. I guess that was my idea.
Also, he could have just left his hat off. He dropped so much money by putting
He
that
really
hat
did.
on. What are we doing, Dave?
Oh, speaking of storyboards, yes, I definitely remember storyboarding both the key in the lock and the key in the ignition.
Yeah,
back
that
to
was a
back.
good shot too, right there.
And definitely, I remember storyboarding the moment where we realized that the cage is the truck bed.
Mm-hmm. It's very Raiders,
Yeah.
because that when
I think there
Marion
is-
gets put into the truck.
Oh
in the
yeah,
back and-
that's definitely a Raiders.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
definitely a Raiders moment for sure.
I also, your movie came first, but the parade scene reminded me a lot of The Fugitive.
I was thinking. The
Yeah,
same
like
thing
I was
too.
almost
Yeah,
wondering
yeah,
if they thought the same thing.
yeah. I really love Follow That Bird. It's like Harrison's
It's
favorite
possible.
movie. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about were there any things that people might have found objection to? Well, here this is the key one. Okay, there's a character standing on the back of an open truck who's 6 years old and is about to jump from the truck into a moving car. So Tony Geis and Judy Freudberg sort of solved the problem brilliantly by having Big Bird challenge Gordon. And say, I should not be doing this. So
It's very funny. It's a very funny exchange. Yeah.
He sort of basically, Big Bird is suddenly a proxy for all the parents in the audience who are saying, listen to him. You should not do something like this. But thankfully, this is good writing here, so that Cookie has devoured the top, the roof of the
It all
car,
pays
enabling Gordon to get out of it.
Yeah.
So now, I'll have to think back. So we've got like a couple of insert trailers. Here's an insert trailer shot. This is pre-green screen, pre-volume stage. This is we're just driving down the road with Dave Thomas at the wheel. And meanwhile, that was probably a stunt person.
Yeah.
But that shot that is obviously
that's him.
Yeah. And we are pulling that VW. So he's standing. Probably, maybe he's secured in some way. We did things as safely as possible. But I believe that what we're going to see next is a shot where we've got a stunt person inside the bird suit along with a stunt Gordon. And again, this is not, it's not like we're doing an action scene this is not a John Woo, film.
Right.
So the cars and the car and truck are moving quite slowly.
Yeah.
But still, it feels dangerous enough. Well, that doesn't hurt to have that shot.
Yeah. I imagine being a stuntman, and you're like, today you're in a Big Bird costume is like gotta be kind of fun for him.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that looks faster than I remembered.
Yeah.
Okay. So, see, that's a little slower,
yeah.
when we're focused on the actor, but the stunt shot is actually pretty good.
And that's not a nothing jump. That's
No,
like
that's cool.
No, that's a few feet. That's a few feet. So that could have been Carol stepping off of the VW.
Sure.
He was. So now, of course, Mr. Candy and our boy who is still missing that apple. So this is a beautiful image. Just to see John on this motorcycle with the sidecar is great. And I will say I think some of this exchange was improvised. So you've got, three of the best improvisational comics around going at it. And I think that when Joe starts weeping and John says, "Come on, be a man," and Joe says, "I'm not a man." I think that I don't imagine that was a script. I do remember this next piece of business was my idea, just to have a grip below frame to lift the boy into frame, as if John was just hoisting him up. And I think it's a very simple thing, but
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Sure.
How was John?
John is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, this was all of a day's work. I didn't get to hang out with him enough. We did meet again to potentially work on another film. Never came to be, but it couldn't be the best.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sweetheart.
What's the movie that didn't happen that you wished happened? Not a movie that got made, just like a movie where you're like, we tried to make this one happen.
Oh gosh,
never.
Well, that's a few.
Yeah,
The problem is
Yeah.
there's more than a few.
Yeah,
But the one I was working on with John was terrific. But again, like so many, it just couldn't get off the ground. So here he is. He's yellow again. Now, soon after this is a really important shot. Because we're now.
Elmo
And that
shows
is there's Elmo making its first screen appearance, and on the call sheet, or rather on the cast list, Elmo is called Elmo Monster. Way low in the cast list.
Yeah.
And so Miss Finch is about to show up and take Big Bird back to the Dodos, and Maria has the climactic speech. Oh, by the way, bottom right there, the white bearded fellow, that is Kermit Love, who's the Big Bird Wrangler.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Maria's speech, is the mission statement of the series, and this is the celebration of diversity that is important to Sesame Street, and I felt like it needed some special cinematic treatment. So I staged this shot, which is the one and only time I've done. That's Debbie Spinney right there with the sweater, Carol's wife. This is the one and only time I've did a 360-degree pan in my career.
It's such
but
an
it felt
impressive
like
shot.
this was the right way to reinforce the whole point of this. We have grouches, we have monsters, we have people, we have dogs, and everyone gets along together. By the way, I didn't have enough extras. That's half the crew.
I was going to ask if you were in there somewhere. Have you done a cameo in anything?
I have, but not in this one.
Yeah.
Not in this one. There's Kermit back there with his white beard.
I mean, that shot must have taken so long just because, again, you're framing Big Bird, but then you're framing, the tiniest child and the tiniest Muppet, and like, you've got to get everyone in that big
I think we
shot.
sort of positioned people so that we could gracefully tilt up and down to sort of kind of continue to reframe clusters of people. And again, what's nice about it is the puppeteers created some extra energy by some of them popping into frame at appropriate moments when
Harry
land
comes
on
in.
them. But yes, deep in the background, Elmo's first appearance.
Yeah. And now he's all over the DVD cover.
Oh my God.
Is he really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He got his own movie, right?
Yeah, he did.
Eventually. Yeah.
It is interesting that they've only done 2.
They came real close
They were
recently.
real close.
Yeah.
But it just feels like something that you would want more of them.
For
you
sure.
know? I imagine getting Snuffy into that nest was not easy.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably just Marty there. I'm assuming there's not.
That's a good question. Well, probably if Noel's there, he's like not in the nest. Probably standing in the back. But, and as I recall, Marty, we didn't have Marty revoice his character. I mean, that's another tricky thing is the fact that, they're mic'd in these full body suits.
Was there a lot of ADR in this?
Only for the Muppet characters whose puppeteers weren't available, like Jerry Nelson. So here we've got someone else is doubling one of those two Frank Oz characters.
It'd be amazing if he was doing both.
One of my favorite, you asked about favorite characters, one of my favorite characters is coming up soon, and that is Bruno.
Oh, yeah.
And Bruno this is about as magical a character as I can imagine because it's, again, one hand is operating Oscar, one hand's holding the garbage can and the trash can, and it's impossible. Like the adults on the set couldn't figure out what was going
on. Now I'm like, how did his lip move? Because he's doing Oscar's hand and face.
And Bruno, I don't actually know the answer.
It's magic.
Magic.
But I thought it was great that we end the film with Bruno chauffeuring Oscar around the block.
That's great.
Now, this is the key scene. And Jerry Nelson had such a blast counting the credits.
Hey, that's you.
Oh, there it is.
But I will say, once again, all credit to Tony Geis and Judy Freudberg, not only for a great script, but for one of my favorite jokes coming up here. I think it's the next credit. If I remember correctly. Oh, not quite. Nope.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. But this, the great Carol Spear.
More credits should do this. The count should be in everyone's credits.
Here we go. Okay, that's in the script.
That's a funny joke.
Now, I want to mention a couple things. Stan Warnow, wonderful film editor, who has edited films like, and Van Dyke Parks I want to talk about. Okay, well, let me skip Stan for a second.
Yeah.
Van Dyke Parks is somebody not a lot of people know, but he's one of the great singer-songwriter, composer, producers. A lot of people know him from having worked with Brian Wilson on the infamous Smile.
Oh, sure.
But he is he's put out about a dozen albums as a solo artist, and he just brought the perfect, lush, kind of whimsical, playful, multi-layered score to this. And his co-composer, Lenny Niehaus, Clint Eastwood fans will recognize. Lenny Niehaus basically composed like the scores for most of Clint Eastwood's movies. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
But going back to Stan Warnow, Stan and I started working together on those after-school specials, the very first things I directed. But before that, Stan, he worked with Milos Forman on the film Hair.
Wow.
But most importantly, he was one of the editors of Woodstock.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was actually,
Wow.
so he was there. He actually, trooped around with various,
That's so
camera
cool.
people and held up slates that said, The Who
Yeah.
or Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
Yeah.
Things like
Oh my
that.
gosh.
So
That
he
must
was
have been
part of
such a
that team.
nightmare to edit that.
Oh
Like
my
there
gosh.
hundreds of hours of footage or
Hundreds of
whatever.
hours of film, but
Yeah.
also I think that I think Stan actually managed to slate things.
Sure.
So that was part of
Sure.
it. Was like just having things that you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
sync
yeah.
up. But the
Cheryl Wagner. That was Miss
Cheryl
Finch's
Wagner did a
last name,
great
yeah.
job as Miss Finch.
Yeah, Gord Roberts.
Now,
Cheryl Wagner.
Noel McNeil was also one of the Board of Birds.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of Canada puppeteers.
This was it was a fantastic crew, and I believe a lot of the crew were David Cronenberg alums, and who went on to continue to work with him.
That's
And
amazing.
but it was a very youthful crew,
Yeah.
and but yeah, no,
I mean that, like your filmography, is so varied. I can imagine working on a Cronenberg movie and then doing this. Like, it's probably fun because you're like,
oh yeah,
great, we're doing
change,
Crash and
yeah.
then we're doing this. Sounds good.
Well, you know
Like,
what? To go from doing like the Count's television set
Yeah.
to doing like
Yeah.
William Burroughs' weird typewriter and Naked
Yes.
Lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's maybe not that big a leap.
Which did
after
have
all.
Muppets in it though, because it
true, yeah,
had
yeah.
the bug puppet.
That's true.
So what's your takeaway from this movie? Because this really it kickstarted so much for you.
Well, I feel like I really learned a lot about what's important in storytelling from working with an 8-foot bird,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically that it's not about how you frame the bird; it's about getting walking in bird's shoes.
Yeah.
And becoming a student of human nature. That's what makes a good storyteller. But I want to mention one important thing. I did not understand this until after we made the film, that when the Count finishes the total number of things that he's counting, there's a thunderstorm. And that's why this film ends with a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Thunder crashes.
Yeah.
That's actually part of the Count's lore.
Yes, his lore. Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. It was a real honor.
I found out a long time ago.
That's the best song.
It's
in
really
the movie.
good.
I really like it. That's the balladeer from Dukes of Hazzard, Waylon Jennings.
Does he sing that song?
Yeah,
I
but he's
didn't-
also the narrator of Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't lie to you.
I don't think I've ever seen Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, it's great. Don't let the 2 stars current thoughts about the world ruin the show or the top of the car.
Yeah.
It's good. And the Jay Chandrasekhar directed reboot with Johnny Knoxville and
Jessica Simpson.
and Sean William Scott
Yep.
and Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And Burt Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
And Kevin Heffernan, star of Big Helium Dog, is in it quite a
Look
bit.
at that. Speaking of Big Helium Dog, Brian's first film.
Yeah, I made it in '97. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD, and streaming. By the way, you can watch it on Apple, very cheap. Not Apple, Amazon. Apple's the only place you can't watch it.
I don't know.
What problem does Apple have with us?
Tim Cook hates you.
Oh God, you know why?
He hates the Minions.
Oh, that's why. Oh boy, I thought it was because we didn't get along in school.
Oh.
Okay. So I dared him to run through the courtyard naked. He did, but I had the local college newspaper covering it. I didn't tell him about that part. Sorry, Tim Cook. Yeah, it's out right now, Big Helium Dog, and it is starring such funny people. I wrote it when I was 21, directed when I was 23, sat on it until I was 52.
Literally.
Yeah. And it's been remastered. 2 commentaries, including one by me, the star, and Patrick, film historian Patrick Cotnor. And there's auditions. There's a Q&A reunion thing we did. It's great. I'm very proud of the movie. And I love the disc, and people seem to really be reacting well to it, so that's nice.
They had to remaster it because you were sitting on it so long.
I know. Re-astered it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, that's the only DVD or Blu-ray coming out, I think.
But wait, Brian,
go
I have
ahead.
one.
Okay.
November 16th, you can buy I'm George Lucas' Connor Ratliff Story, which is a documentary that I produced and am in about the George Lucas talk show. I produced the DVD, which was a lot of work.
I bet there's no commentaries on that.
Brian, I got great news for you. There's 57.
57? There was 55 last time I talked to you about this.
And we've added 2 more.
Can you tell me who the two new ones are?
Connor and I did one for the live stream that we did.
That's great.
But Connor said, I don't want to do the whole 90 minutes. Can you speed it up 2 times, so it's only 45 minutes.
Oh, that's
and then
fun.
you'll take our commentary and slow it down by half.
That's so creepy. That's great.
So you're going to be able to watch that. It's crazy.
I'm sure.
And it's really crazy. And then I'll bleep this.
Okay.
But
Oh, cool. So I guess that second one will be a secret.
I think so.
Okay. It's a great movie. If it had nothing on the disc, it would be worth getting. But the fact that there's how many hours of extras?
Over 100.
Over 100. Just get it. And then, honestly, you can watch it from Thanksgiving until New Year's.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to your family.
It's someone online said it's the only documentary where you can watch it every week for a year and have a different experience each time.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Also, George Lucas Talk Show, October 10th at the Bell House in Brooklyn, October 11th at New York Comic Con, November 23rd at the Den in Chicago, December 18th at the UCB Theater in New York, and then in January, potentially some West Coast shows.
Really?
Yep.
That's exciting. I have no shows coming up.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Next year I have a movie coming out.
Who cares?
Oh, God.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Jeez. Blurpo.
Out. Thanks for listening to Hey That's Me, a commentary podcast. This has been a That Was Just So Funny production. Your hosts have been Brian Lynch and Patrick Hotner. Music was by Alex Peabody, and our art was by Abigail Noy. You can find out more about the show by going to heythat'smepod.com and checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/commentary. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Please tell your friends about this show.